G'day Flosstube. Anna, aka Mandala, back again for a visit. Long time no see. It is October 16th and I am hopeful this may be something I can repeat again in the shorter than it has been time span. Things are starting to settle down here. Life generally has settled down. I have finished a period where I had to work extra hours at work. So, yeah, let's see if we can resume our normal scheduled programming. Having said that, I did find out 2 days ago that we're probably getting a foreign exchange student join the family within the next week unexpectedly. So that always causes some upheaval. But, you know, that's just life. It wouldn't be typical without a bit of craziness. Well, I have been away. I actually have done a reasonable amount of stitching just because it was my sanity in amongst all the chaos. So I've actually got some reasonable progress to show you. I will endeavor to go find screenshots of where it was before, at least where I can get them out of videos and stuff. Not sure how successful I'm going to be, so if you don't see any before photos, that's why. So I'm so unorganized, I don't even know where to start with this. Let's basically start with the top of the pile. That seems logical. So I will be starting a new project. This 2 weeks, I think, maybe only a week. October 27th. A couple of the local girls, and I think Linda Aussie Stitcher may join us. We're going to start the Pearl of the Orient. I don't know if I had even bought this last time I filmed, maybe not. But one of the local girls, she's able to buy in a bunch of these and get them sent over from her mom. And so we all did a mass order. So quite a few of us have this particular pattern and a bunch of the others as well. So we're going to start that, and as part of that, I had to figure out what I was going to do for fabric, and I didn't want to buy fabric because I've got acres of white cashel linen, and that's what I used for the Queen Sari, so I figured that would be a good one for this as well. So I went scavenging through my supplies, and I found the stuff to dye this piece. And it's actually just by fluke, let me see if I can get the other one. Just by fluke, the piece that I had to dye was about twice as big as what I needed. So I cut it in half, and I had to go with 2 different similar recipes. So one's a fair bit purpler and one's a fair bit pinker. I think both pieces, I love the way they turned out in terms of what the fabric looks like. But looking at the colors in the pattern, we opted to go with the pinker one. So I was aiming for something vaguely like is shown, but I wasn't convinced enough with my dyeing abilities to try and mimic like the bright spot or anything too specific. So it's just single colors, Rit dye. From memory, it was like cherry red is the main color in this one, which is a much more brighter red, whereas this one was sangria, which is a darker purplier red. But don't quote me on that. But yeah, so just 28 count cashel linen. Clearly still a bit abused. Need to go around and tape up the edges because I do tape, and I have no objection to doing tape because it just gets cut off at the end. It is what it is. And so, yeah, I think I've got all the threads now to do that. So all ready to start on the 27th with everybody. So if you are interested to join in, we are doing, the hashtag in somewhere, probably the comments, because I don't think I'm clever enough to do it on screen. We're just doing Pearl of the Orient sale or something like that as the hashtag on Instagram. So if you feel like joining in, the more the merrier. You know, cut my hair the other day because summer's coming and it's going to get hot here. And that one little piece does not want to cooperate. So I also had to dye it because my, this is going to drive me nuts. I had to dye it because my children kept giving me grief about how much gray hair I had. And, you know, children are so wonderful. Oh, I did get a few. I ordered some of the treasures that go with that. Yeah, you can't hardly even see through the packs. The special treasures that go on that as well, so that there's no issues with the treasures going out of stock in future. So, but there's still quite a few beads I'll need to get when I get that far. But that one is all ready to start. This video is going to be a bit all over the place. Half the stuff that I've bought, acquired, etc. during the hiatus has been put away. I'm just basically going to show you what I still got handy and hopefully maybe fill in the gaps a bit. And you know what? Oh, I didn't grab my board. We're going to have to do this without the board. If you didn't notice the different background, I am officially in the she shed. Again, I can't remember whether or not I was the last time I filmed. I don't think so. I think that was in the kitchen. Which at least means that, you know, all my craft stuff is in the same room. Still not very organized and put away, you know, bit by bit. And the downside is if and when this exchange student joins us, I will, I don't know whether she's going to be living out here in the she shed or whether one of my children are, but in either case, I basically have to, you know, be the good mother, respect their privacy, and not be in their bedroom all the time. What a bummer. Being a good mother sucks. Okay. So, apparently I put this away mid-thread, which is kind of unusual. I have been working on the Japanese moss garden. So, yeah, that is the right way up, or at least the way I think of it. You can see, like, I've gotten all the way, just working on that very last tree to do that whole bottom. So I know those fish in the middle were new. Maybe the whole bottom is new. Yeah, it's, this thing is gorgeous. I watched, you know, several people have started this since I started showing mine. And it's really fun to see everybody's progress on Instagram and whatnot. So if you're doing this one, tag me. It's Mandala_crafts on Instagram. And because I love to see your ones as well. Try and keep an eye out for everybody's. But yeah, so there's a fair bit of progress on that. Fair bit to go yet too, mind you. But and this fabric is just a 28 count cashel that I dyed just with the pearl gray grit, and even the pearl gray was very watered down to make sure it wasn't too overwhelming. You know, that's going to drive me nuts. All right, sorry guys, I didn't open up anything, and the floor in here is still uncovered. I think we're going to go straight to tiling it sooner rather than later, but again, if we're going to have people living here and summer's coming, aircon probably outranks tiling. You know, it's got to get in the queue of things to be done. It's kind of a big queue. I also did a bunch more on the aura of autumn. So I'm not going to even try and take that out of the Q snap, but I've gotten to the point where I've done enough that there's basically some hidden by the Q snap. I can't remember whether I'm working on, I think I'm working on page 3. I had kind of hoped to finish page 3 because there's only like that little section. This part isn't showing up very well in the camera, but it is stitched. So yeah, apologies for the threads, they're kind of all over the place. So yeah, maybe after we start that Pearl of the Orient, I might come back and finish this page. But at the moment I'm trying to finish Queen Sorry, or at least get her to a beating stage, so I haven't got 2 Bellafinas on the go. So it's slow going, so it doesn't look like a great deal. In fact, you still can't see any of the picture. It's just all mottled background. I can't decide whether I mind that in terms of stitching. It's not as rewarding as being able to see a great big dress emerge or anything like that, because I seem to just put random oranges and yellows in and sometimes browns, and I never get anywhere. But I am making progress in terms of moving across pages and whatnot and filling up blocks, so that at least I can see. The one I haven't worked on in the last while that I've been AWOL is the triptych. I want to finish page 3 so that I can take the it off the Q-snap and do a bit on the triptych. I keep watching Miss Oh So Crafty, and she's making such good progress on her triptych that I'm like, despite the fact I started mine 15-ish years ago, she's going to beat me to the end at the rate I'm going. So, you know, a bit of friendly competition to keep it going. I have totally fallen off the Magical Stitches bandwagon. I have no idea whether that challenge is even going anymore or whether they've finished all the books. I thought it was meant to go all year. I don't know. I haven't watched any Flosstube. Well, very few. I think I saw like 2 of Belinda Aussie Stitchers, 1 of Stitch and Mommy's, and yeah, bugger all Flosstube in the last several months. So I think we're going to have to basically clear out the entire watch later list and just start over, because yeah, I'm pretty sure if I actually went back and go, look, you're probably all on Stitch Mania. That's kind of how long it's been. And I was behind when I fell off the wagon too, so. The one that is getting all the attention at the moment is Queen Sorry. So this one, I reckon, has probably had some massive progress since you've seen her. I've almost entirely finished all the top bit. There's a few little bits of feathers that I find hard to reach without counting from the beads, that might have to get filled in as I bead. I'm not one of these that'll count 30 stitches over. It just doesn't happen. But you can see from the gaps in her clothes and stuff, there's quite a few beads to go on her yet. Oh yeah, there's those little feathers. Those little feathers up her crown. So obviously I counted those off that feather. But there will be more all the way along there. But it's all beads between the 2 of them, so they may get put in right at the last. But all these outside feathers, I think, are now done, at least until I add beads. And I have blocked in the last of her skirt, so at least I know how much more purple I have to go. I think all those pink and teal ribbons are done, so it's really just that bit of skirt to finish up, and then all her stitching will be done. So yeah, at this point I'm really thinking, well, maybe I can do all the stitching before the 27th, which is 11 days. Surely I can do that, right? I don't have anything else in my life to do. So yeah, don't know if it'll happen, but that'd be awesome. There is a bit of white stitching and stuff in her dress that needs to go in yet. I tend to do white last. Yeah, so I'm really pleased with how she's turning out. I guess the one thing, it doesn't look so obvious in the camera, but I find the colors of her skin tend to be a bit blocky looking. Yeah, it doesn't look half so bad in the camera. Clearly I'm going to leave her as she is. But it's the same color palette that's used in the Pearl of the Orient. And so I don't know whether I will kind of tone down those colors in the skin a little bit or not. I don't know. I will decide after I backstitch this one, and we'll see how we go. So that, I think, is about the only cross-stitch projects I worked on, but actually I really should go back and find before pictures, because I think you'll find there's quite a bit of progress on things like that chatelaine and the queen sari. The other thing I have been working on, actually this, I am quite proud of myself, guys. I'm just going to put it down. I'll come right back to it. I don't need to mark my pattern mistake. And of course, it was months before I came back to it. No idea where I was in my pattern. Had to kind of read and try and figure out where I was in my pattern. And I did it. I'm so pleased. I did it. And that first day that I picked it up again, I did like 4 or 5 rows. And every time I did a row, I'm like, oh, is this the row where I'm going to realize that I've totally buggered something up? But I haven't. I've just picked up and kept going like I didn't have a couple months break. So very, very pleased. Now, it's getting very hard to show because it's so so clogged up on the wire. So this bunch of ribbing, I reckon, is so much neater. I don't know whether, so that one of the earlier rotations of the pattern, I had a lot of trouble keeping things lined up, whereas I think this rotation through has been much neater and much cleaner, and you know, everything lines up much better. So clearly I am getting better. It's a slow work in progress. I am now getting to the end of the 3rd rotation through. The pattern calls for 4 before you go to the border and finish up. Of course, every rotation gets 20 stitches longer or something, so it takes longer. I did a fairly simple row this morning, and I think it took me almost an hour just to physically do all that purling across. I find I can do the knit stitches relatively fast, but the purl stitches I am just slow as. But I'm calling that a major success because I'm very careful not to mark my pattern, even if I'm going away just for 5 minutes. But I looked at that and I thought, oh, I have to deal with a problem. I don't know where I'm at. It's going to be a real drama to pick up, and I won't get it right, and I'll have to undo things. And I looked at it for weeks, dreading it, and thought, no, I'm not dealing with it. I'm not dealing with it. And then when I finally did suck it up and get over it, it went just fine. So I'm awesome. Pat on the back. Yeah, so that's Queen Sari. I showed you that. So that's probably the bulk of what I've done, or at least cross-stitch related wise. Halloween is coming, and it's the one time a year where I'm quite happy to be a Yank and let my Yank show. Halloween's a big deal around our house. We do a big community barbecue in the front yard, and all my kids are busy making costumes. So I have one daughter who's going to be the Mad Hatter, and so she's just having a great time with that hat. And a lot of time at the op shop looking for red jacket, whatever is needed for the costume. I am going to be Maleficent, so we had to make some horns. I'm too tall. I have to put them on a headband or something yet. So those are my Maleficent horns. They're just tinfoil to do a lot of the area, and then polymer clay, painted black. Clearly I need to go back and do some more painting. So yeah, I will attach these to a headband to make wearable, and then probably do some additional decoration and whatnot. But of course, this is Halloween. It takes place at night. Your construction abilities are not necessarily have to be the greatest. So that also takes up a bit of time. But in addition to the costuming, we also spend a fair bit of time working on the decorations. So living in the tropics, we have this eternal issue with Halloween in that, yes, we can now physically get proper Halloween pumpkins to carve, but they rot in like 5 minutes. It is ridiculous. You cannot put them out and expect them to last. It just doesn't work. And the very first year I did Halloween here, I had to get these stubby little Queensland pumpkins and spray painted orange. And those pumpkins, the wall is so thick, good luck carving it. Doesn't work. Anyway, getting sidetracked. We're making big styrofoam pumpkins that we can reuse and display every year because they won't rot. They're styrofoam. But as well, one of our guests last year brought these carved pineapples, which was a really fun tropical twist on the tradition. So we have the angry pumpkins, you know, that are all spooky and scary. But then we have the cool lot of pineapples that are teasing them, so we can put the display with the two of them. And, you know, we had to build the coffin. And they turned the paddock car into a hearse. So there's all sorts of Halloween shenanigans going on around here. Kind of takes away from the other crafty time. Oh, the other thing I did do, and I will insert a clip. I filmed a clip earlier but forgot all about it. Because I'm now out in my she shed and I can leave things untouched when I lock the doors and go back to the main house. I started my diamond painting. So there's a fair bit of progress on that too. Anyway, I'll insert the clip because I think I said that all in the clip. G'day, Flosstube. Just wanted to insert a clip of the diamond painting I've been working on because I'm not going to try and hold this up in the main video. Making fairly good progress. This is all handheld, so hopefully not too shaky, but there you can just kind of see the full extent of the piece. So I'm probably just over halfway down on this side and maybe a third on that side. Very sparkly in the camera. I don't think it's quite that sparkly in real life. So yeah, first diamond painting I've done. It's all right. Any object to this whole description that it's faster than cross stitching? This piece at least seems to be very slow going, a lot of confetti. My daughter's pieces have much more areas of big chunks of color, at least in the parts where they're at. So anyway, it's interesting to have a go for once. I'm not convinced I'll do another, but you know, it's all good. And yeah, see you in the main video. Bye. All right, so, well, we were on hiatus, actually. I know before we were on hiatus, I had told you guys I'd bought the lavender and lace seasons, and I was still waiting on winter to come, so winter has arrived, so I now have all 4 of those. So, unfortunately, they are going to go in the to be done at some point pile because I've got other agendas at the moment. I'm going to do winter with that blue cape and whatnot that I saw Miss Oh So Crafty do hers in. That was gorgeous. I mean, the white is nice, but that blue was stunning. So that has come in. We had our craft fair, the local craft fair. Well, I was on hiatus, so of course you have to buy something, don't you? I found a lady that had a bunch of mirrors. And again, this will go in the to-do someday pile, but this is Gypsy Mermaid, actually Nora Corbett. It says, a bohemian vagabond who collects trinkets and treasures from sunken ships. She is the pirate of the sea. Don't know if I've been through and ordered the treasures for her or not. I probably should have half a look and see whether or not I want to order any treasures again, just to try and avoid the whole it's out of stock business. Actually, I think it must have been the treasures I ordered for Queen Sari. There was one that was already out of stock. I found it on a website I've never used before, an Australian website. So I quickly ordered it. Or discontinued, not out of stock. That implies I can get it back. Discontinued. And so, but then, you know, it was like a $6 pack for treasures when, you know, it'll be more than that in postage, I can guarantee you. Well, that's a bit silly. So I'd buy another one. And this is Mermaids of the Deep Blue. So I looked at two of them when I was trying to decide which one to buy. This one and the Blackbeard's Daughter. Clearly I opted for this one in the end. It says, 2 daughters of the sea swim gracefully toward treasure lost. Their tails sparkle like diamonds and emeralds. Their hair flows around them like veils of silk. They are real and fairy tale combined to become beauties of the deep. So, yeah, I will have to do that one at some point. But again, it's going in the someday pile. No particular plans for when to start it, although I do know a couple of people have this one. So maybe if, you know, anybody wants to do a set, I could be convinced to start it anyway. Just give me some time to dye fabric and stuff. Although I note that one, the model is done on a 32 count. Anyway, the big one that's come in, geez, my phone keeps going spackle. I really need to turn my phone off when I'm not working, but then I couldn't film, could I? So the big one that's come in is another chatelaine. I might be somewhat obsessed. So I'm sure I've talked about this before. This is the Hawaiian garden mandala. And I've been to Hawaii once. I haven't seen anything more than the airport, so I don't know squat about Hawaii. But looking at this pattern, it is very appropriate to the Townsville area, with the exception of the volcanoes. So my plan is to axe the volcanoes and take a picture of our local hill that is very distinctive. Any local will recognize the silhouette of Castle Hill. In fact, if you just Google Castle Hill, Townsville, you'll get umpteen pictures of it. And convert a sort of create a nighttime scene. I think will go better with the colors, with the sun setting behind Castle Hill, the silhouette. So that's the plan. I have to actually try and get clever enough to pull that off. And I think I might actually backstitch the Uni Saint on the hill, because, you know, it wouldn't be Castle Hill without the Uni Saint, which is basically just line work graffiti that somebody years ago put on the hill and is now kind of the local, do we maintain this graffiti versus just let it die? It's been there for so long, everybody knows it, and yet it's just graffiti. So, but I may put the Uni Saint in there. So yeah, I haven't even opened the package yet. Need to get in there, look at what's required, start collecting all the specialty stuff, try and figure out what colors are actually in those volcanoes. I'll try and reuse a lot of the colors, see whether they're stitched over one or two, you know, make some design decisions as far as swapping out Castle Hill in there. But I'm pretty excited to do that. I just am not super confident in my design abilities. So, I don't know. If anybody's a design wonder that's super confident, feel free to reach out. Honestly, I've debated whether even just paying somebody to do it to make sure it get a nice job. Obviously, I can supply a photo of the hill, but and there's one particular angle of the hill. It's when you're standing in the center of town, which is where I always was as a university student. It's the angle I associate with Townsville, Castle Hill anyway, because you see it from the main part of town that I'm envisaging putting in there. So, yes, looking forward to that very muchly, but design dramas we need to get through, and so that's a bit of a scared to get started. I need to get over that and have a go. I think that's everything I have to show you. I'm just super pleased to be back. Hope you found something you enjoyed. Hope my before-after photos, if I get them organized, show I made stellar progress. Yeah, hope you'll stop by again another day, and we'll talk to you then. Bye.